Ooh, intriguing. Wow, so much clothes. Oh, that's nice. That jacket would look good on you, Matt. Oh, there's more? Well, that's cool. And so many lamps will probably really help the gaffer to create the ambiance. Yeah, especially that one. Bam, and the vintage player. Do you think they have cassette players? Because if they do and you like them more, then I'll get jealous. Maybe there'll be more. Another director in a cassette player. God, there's so many rooms in this store. Yeah, that's a nice glass. We could use that for the first scene. Well, I don't know what that is, but that's big. How many people do you think this table could fit? Probably the whole crew.
All right, Marinette, I have the owner of the vintage store here, Melissa, with us. Hi, Melissa. Thank you for showing us the place here.
No problem. I'm happy to have you guys here.
So tell us about your store. What is this? What is it called? And what's it all about?
So we're Vintage Avenue North. We opened up about 8 months ago on June 15th. Yeah, I definitely seen that there was a need in Sudbury for a vintage, antique sort of store that has items that are curated, kind of cleaned, and you can see it in your home. There is basically nothing else in Sudbury that was catering to this. There are a lot of people that are starting to put these items back into their homes. Number one, it's nostalgic, right? It's grandma, grandpa had those items. And then it's saving it from the landfill. This stuff lasts forever. 50 years ago, it was good. It's still good today.
And also, things were made better back then.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
So I noticed you have a bit of clothes, but you have so many eclectic items here. Can you tell us about where you source these items and how you come across them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a lot in Sudbury. So I do purchase from people here and there. I help 2 elderly ladies transition into nursing homes. So I went in and purchased all their stuff. And then another lady, she just wanted to get out of it. So she was a collector, I purchased her stuff. From there, I do a lot of online auctions, some storage units, estate sales. So anything I can get my hands on, I'm out there, I'm digging.
Yeah, that's really the thing, right? You have to find these items. It's not like a retailer would be like, I need 20 of these vintage. They're vintage, right? They're one of a kind.
They are one of a kind. Yes, you don't see these items every day.
So what's kind of the items that you mostly sell around here? What's the kind of what they're looking for, and how do you know what items to get that you think would sell?
Well, I definitely keep my eye out on what's popular, and definitely vintage is in. It is in across the board. You're even watching the news and they're showing items, new items put in with a vintage item, right? So I think that it's really come in not only with the middle-aged people, but the younger ones as well are really coming in and decorating their homes with the 70s, 80s looks. I think, which is really important to get the younger ones appreciating the quality of the items that are in here. The highest selling items right now would be Pyrex, that sells big. Teacups here and there, one-offs for little tea parties that the girls are having. Those seem to be really popular. And brass and copper. Those are big ones as well. And I do have a lot of artwork that I have on my walls that are all authentic. So you can definitely come in and see those.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful store, all the vintage items.
Thank you.
What makes an item vintage?
So it has to be 20 years and older to be a vintage item. To be an antique, it has to be 100 years and older.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So, but you know, sometimes look around here and we're like, oh, from the 1920s. Well, 1920s, that is 100 years ago, right?
Wow,
so we don't
yeah.
really think of it that way. So these items are readily available to us, and it is nice to see them go back into the community. Instead of having some families putting in bins in front of their loved ones' yards because they don't know what to do with them. But there are places that can take it and repurpose them.
Wow. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Nothing is wasted.
No,
That's
absolutely.
the beauty
And
of
these
this.
quality items shouldn't be wasted.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting how, and you look around at all these items, there's no plastic.
No.
You know?
No, there is
To me,
no
that's what makes an
plastic.
item vintage, that it's not plastic.
That's right. You're looking at glassware. You're looking at carnival glass. You're looking at ceramics. You're looking at all of these silver coated items, like just the stuff that's quality from back then. And even you look at the items that were given away in the 20s and the 30s, could be the Depression era. Well, these items now have value to them because it's the story behind them as well.
Oh, I love that you said that, the story behind them. Absolutely, right? You could almost feel it in the item that it's weathered, it's seen a lot of stuff, and
right.
it's also solid.
That's right, absolutely. It was made to last those days, and it was given as gifts. And a lot of these items have 24 karat gold in it, but gold was not, high priced those days. So, it's interesting how everything is so cyclical in life, right? And these items are all coming back.
Mm-hmm. Is there any trends in terms of clothing that you're looking for to get that, or what kind of piques your eye? Because there's so much clothing that you could get, right?
Absolutely.
What kind of catches your eye when you're looking for that perfect vintage sweater, coat, or whatever?
Yeah, anything sweater-wise, I'm looking for original knit items. Trench coats are huge right now, so any vintage trench coats. And then I also get into the vintage tees, the band tees, that sort of thing. And then dresses, any dresses. I love the 50s, the 60s. So I try to carry a lot of those items that are just not, able to be found in our area. So I definitely look at buying all across Canada, and I do stick with Canada.
Okay. It's just so fascinating that you have a store of everybody's stuff that basically they were throwing out, and now we put value to them because now they're showcased. They have a place for anybody. What's the saying that somebody's trash is another person's treasure? Right?
Absolutely. And people come in here and they find their treasures, and the amount of people that leave here and have that smile on their face because they found that item that grandma had, or the one thing that they had when they were just a child in England that they found here. Like it is also great to hear these stories. I have war veterans that I have a lot of war items here that come in, and I hear all of their stories. So it is also a great place to hear all of these things. Yeah.
It's like makes people share their stories when they see it.
Yes, wow. I hear everybody's stories, and they're all wonderful stories. It's all
amazing.
about the past, about grandma's stuff, or grandma's Bible, or so and so's wedding dress. But people love telling their stories. And those memories are great for people to bring back.
So now we're here with Marinette, the director here.
Absolutely.
And we're looking, one of the characters in the film is called It's March 17 and I'm Still in Love with You. And she basically, her ex-girlfriend, she's trying to get over this heartbreak, and she has a tape cassette of this ex-girlfriend, and she's about to erase it when the tape cassette starts to talk back to her.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting film about heartbreak and also moving on. And if we don't move on, we stay in the past, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And so one of the things in the character Reverie works at a vintage store. So as Reverie, the character, what would it be like working at a vintage store?
Oh, definitely what I just explained. Working at a vintage store is absolutely amazing. You get to see all the characters of the people. You get to see the items of the past. And you definitely have a little community that is created here that I didn't expect, but it happened very fast. It happened very fast. And it really is like a little family in here.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's so personal, right? All the items.
Absolutely, they are. And there's a story that comes with every item that is in here.
I love that. I love that. And so this location we're actually scouting right now, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
This is a potential on our contender list of location to film it. Would you be open for us to be able to film here on March 22nd?
Yep, absolutely.
What?
Yes,
you
we
hear that,
are.
Megan?
We are okay with that.
That is awesome. Is there anything else that people should know about your store when, maybe they're not aware of it, or what should they know about your store?
Basically, the only other thing I can say is that I do have a website, vintageavenuenorth.com. All my items are on there. So sometimes coming in store is a little overwhelming. Take a couple times around, you still don't see everything. So to go on the website is sometimes, calms the brain, and you can see those items at your own leisure.
Wow, I didn't realize that all the items were online.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
See, if you can't make it out, you could at least check it out online and see if that interests you. But I do recommend everyone should check out the store because it's such an experience walking in here.
Awesome.
Right, everywhere you look, there's just these trinkets that you just want to find out more.
A different feeling in every corner.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so much, Melissa.
Yes, no problem.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Woo! Wow, that was so awesome going to see Vintage Avenue North. Melissa's so great. What do you think, Marianne?
I know. First of all, it's like I came back in time. This is crazy and so perfect for my film. And yeah, thank you, Matt, for showing me around. And thank you, Melissa, for being a great host. And just generally everybody in Sudbury who is so welcoming to filmmakers and ready to help. It's this feeling of community everyone is talking about, but it's so rare to actually feel. So I really appreciate it.
Right, this is one of my favorite things. Location scouting is really where you meet people and talk to people, and like where things come together and start to see the real vision, right? You're now putting images to your words, and Vintage Avenue North is like everywhere we pointed the camera just looks so amazing because it's just full of antique stuff. It looks so good on camera.
Yeah, it's heaven for every, and for me as a director, because also props, there's so many things to play around with.
Yeah. And so that was fun. So we have most of our locations mostly found. If we are looking for a laundromat, so if anybody has an idea of where a laundromat in town, please give us a shout out, DM us or anything like that. Get in touch with us. We're looking for a laundromat. But we have most of our locations already. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Also, we are thinking of, there are some shots outside on the street. So maybe leave a comment down below your favorite spots in Sudbury outside.
Yeah, for sure. We want the Sudbury gems, right? In a few image, how can we show off Sudbury in the coolest way when we're showing the outside?
Yeah.
So now, if we look at the schedule, we're in our 5 weeks out meeting, and that means there's been a week since our last time we kept an update. So Marina, do you want to tell us what you've been up to this last week?
Yeah, lots of exciting things. Things start moving forward. First, I want to mention a casting call that we announced last time. I'm amazed by actors who have already been sending their videos, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. I don't know. I was on my bed watching those stealth tapes, and I was kicking my feet because I was so excited. And so, yes, tape players have feet, if you didn't know. Yeah. Hello, Tarantino, you can cast me. Okay. No, I was just so amazed as a writer as well. Like, you write lines and then you see someone actually take their time, dedicated to perform it and to interpret it, improvise, and just get into character. It's suddenly becoming real. And I think that's the actors are the ones who make it truly real from the art, creative perspective. And yeah, it felt like a big honor, to watch those videos. So if you're scared, don't be. It's very fun, exciting process for everybody. And currently we're reviewing videos, and you still can apply.
And how is the script coming along?
So during the last week, I had multiple calls with different people talking about the script, and getting some tips on what could be changed, because I was trimming it down. I knew it was already a bit too long, and I definitely felt stuck at some point. So that's another great thing. Like, ScriptFest doesn't leave you alone with this. It's like, if you are struggling with something, you can be reassured that you will get help you need. So I had a call with a script writing mentor, and also just people in the ScriptFest network that were really helpful and were giving me tips on both, like, globally all over the script, about the story and the development of the story and plot twist, and more into detail of like symbols and the first shot versus last shot. These things that are, maybe if you are first time scriptwriter, you are missing because you're used to writing for paper, not for screen, and those are quite different things.
Yeah, and how did you feel receiving criticism on your script? Because not only is this your script, but it's such a personal story. Do you have to put things aside? How do you react when somebody says, well, this character wouldn't do this, or you should change this because of, and it's like, you already know who the character is and all that stuff. Are you defensive? How do you take criticism when you've already wrote your script?
I think it truly depends on the kind of criticism. So most of the time I felt, wow, this is great. I'd never even thought about this. And that to me was a good thing, because it lets you look from outside of the box and consider that the story may develop in a bit different way than you thought, because now at this point it's like we are caring about the story and what works for the plot, not really necessarily what you wanted it to be. With my meeting with script mentor, he said, we want to tell as scriptwriters the feeling we had, not necessarily the exact experience that we had, but what we felt during that experience. That was a really good point. But I think at the same time, it's important to stay true to yourself and to what your message is, and not let the advice carry you away from what the message is, what the moral of the story is. Because it does feel sometimes when you rewrite and rewrite and rewrite, you're so far away from the initial point. You have to sort of, maybe when you just start writing a script, kind of write down a very basic breakdown of what I want to say with this, each of the scene, why it is there. And then as you rewrite them, revisit that document and see, okay, these plot twists change, but in the end of the day, are they leading to the same message? Or is it now different? And if it is different, am I okay with it? Is it still what I relate to and want to say to people? Or should I maybe go a few steps back and again change things? Yeah, it's like a lot of change.
Such a good note. It's like, it's so easy to change things and for other reasons, for plot or anything like that, but we have to always remember that the guiding light is your script itself, the story, right? And it's a fine balance of trimming but not losing the essence of really, like you said, what you're trying to say. Is there a method or a technique that you used in order to trim the script down, or any redundancies that you found? What was your technique?
So initially when I wrote the script, I was kind of putting all the details down, and all I wanted to see in the film, I was putting it down, sort of like making it the longest possible script version it can be. And I saved it in my computer, and then I created a copy of it, and I started removing all the descriptions that are not necessary, or maybe even acting descriptions that actor can interpret themselves. Even if you, in the end of the day, know you want the shot to look this way, or you want the actor to roll their eyes, maybe you can still remove it just for the sake of the length of the script, and then as you direct, you just say these things. So that's one thing, descriptions, action descriptions. And I think, for example, having the group call with the ScriptFest team really helped me understand, okay, maybe I can put this scene in the very end. This can be the context of the story itself. Like, maybe this happened already before the film even began. And that changes perspective a lot, but in the end of the day, I was able to kill the character. Very sorry. I'm very sorry for that character. It's horrible. It feels bad. But at the same time, it feels so good because in the end, you have like 3 pages less and you're like, wow, nothing changed in my story. Like, and I think it's such a cool exercise. Like, again, this is like this balance between what you want to say, right, and staying true to yourself, but also not letting ego dictate what should be happening. It's like, no, but I already put so much time in this scene, like, and I love this dialogue or whatever. But okay, but does it really help anybody? Does it help the story? You know, it's a very good skill to have as a professional, I think. And I'm not a professional yet because I don't have that skill yet. So this is a very exciting time for me to practice that. You know, craft of cutting your piece, and yeah, just sort of less is more kind of thing. That's what I'm learning right now.
Less is more, yet you can only have less by having more, right? Like you have to start, like you said, with the whole script, everything that you wanted, and then you could hone it in. You can't possibly arrive at this, you know, the script that we will shoot in 5 weeks from now will be completely different in the script that we have now, but yet will be the same in terms of essence.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't expect yourself, if you're writing something and you want to arrive at that point, don't expect yourself to do that right away. Like, oh, well, this version I'm writing is the final version. Like, don't try to excel at the first try. I would say, like, purposefully don't. Like, purposely put everything you want to see. Like, even if these two things are maybe contradicting right now, but once you revisit that, you'll see what is stronger and what makes more sense or what you want to keep more. And then you'll just delete that. That's the great thing. Like, no one sees what's happening on the page. You can delete and no one will know.
How do you find that you have a better clarity of who Reverie, your main character, is, and the other characters as you're doing this trimming process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you know, okay, I have to remove something, you start analyzing what is least important for this character or for the story, and what I can absolutely not remove or cannot compromise. And sometimes it's not even necessarily about the, you know, major plot points. It can be even textures. It can be these little dialogues, these little lines that you just don't want to get rid of because they tell you who this person is. So yeah, and again, like, receiving criticism is also helpful in the sense of, like, you suddenly start defending certain things, like, no, but I see it this way. And then you realize that's because, you now know even more and got reassured in who this character is or what this story is about.
And so you mentioned dialogue a few times. What's your technique for writing good, clever dialogue, which you do have, by the way? I will tell you that if you're not sure if your dialogue is good. It's really funny and witty, with obviously a lot of heart that goes in it. What's your technique for writing dialogue for people that struggle with that? Because it isn't one, you know, you might be good at writing plot, but dialogue is a whole other world. And how do you tackle that?
Wow, that's crazy you're asking me that, because I was struggling with dialogue a lot. I was actually very insecure about my dialogue up until, like, first table reads. I'm like, oh, okay, people laugh at my jokes. Okay, that's good. I think, again, same thing. When I was writing dialogues for the first time, they were so wordy, so lengthy. It's like I was writing a diary, you know, because especially in a fight scene, like, there is a scene where it is maybe a monologue or something. And it just I knew it sounded so whiny and so, like, oh, like, okay, we get it. Can we get over it with it, you know? But that's the thing. Without it, I wouldn't get to way shorter and more precise version where what I have right now. So, for instance, when I was writing an argument, that was for me the hardest dialogue to write because it's really, like, it has to be very intense emotionally. It has to be not too long, and it has to deliver the message. I use sticky notes as a most stereotypical script writer. And first of all, I mapped out the dynamic of both people involved in the dialogue. So where this character lashes out, where this one, where they calm down. And it's fun if it's not at the same time, because that's where we see their differences. So, or if it helps you just draw or, use mind mapping, whatever you want. And then I made like a pool of ideas of the arguments they can use. Like, you did this, but you did that. Or, just in the very simple, stupid words you can find, just write them out. And I had like, I don't know, maybe 30 of these sticky notes that are just like ideas for arguments. And then I looked at these 2 lines I created and I thought, okay, where this argument would fit. Is it more emotionally charged? Is it where they lash out? Or is it when they rethink what they just said, Just kind of trying to, again, not overthink it. Don't try to put it in the right places right away. Just make one big mess and try to sort it out. And another important thing is that my mistake was in the beginning, I was paying a lot of attention to protagonist. And I was kind of like, well, this is the most important character, this is who we want to cheer for. But if you don't support your antagonist or side characters, in their arguments, then it's just going to be, first of all, very boring film because there's going to be no resistance to the characters. How can a character grow if there's no resistance, right? And secondly, again, there's a risk of you writing very whiny character or very just like a one-dimensional character that cannot. You need to attack your character a little bit for him or her or them to grow. And so for me, what really helped is kind of like adding depth and defending the character we're not supposed to cheer for and delivering their point, and even letting the main character lose the fight, lose the argument, because that's what's interesting. Like, otherwise, how would they grow, right?
That's right.
Yeah. What else? As for witty comments, I think the rest of the dialogues are just like, I was focusing right now on the argument because that was very emotionally intense and kind of like very important for the story. And most of the other dialogue is sort of like kind of leading us to this point. And I think what helped is just being attentive to how people speak. I heard this exercise that you come to a coffee shop and you listen to somebody talk and maybe even record them. I don't know, on your own risk. And then you come home and you transcribe that into script format. And that helps you even just visually recognize, oh, this looks like a natural character. People cut each other off, or they don't usually talk in very long responses, So that's very helpful. And yeah, just think even like with humor, or know your characters. Would they joke about this right now? Would they make this prank, or would they lash out, or would they shut off and not say anything? Just like think about that and about what it adds to the story itself.
Wow, so insightful. I think in any form, when we're preparing for this, to me, and I'm glad that you said that you're also doing that for your dialogue and your script is to make it visual, right? Like you said, you have the sticky notes and you're just trying a bunch of stuff. You don't know what works until you try it, and then you really know that doesn't work, right? You might not know if it works or not, but you really know that this piece does not go here. And it's always by breaking it down and seeing it in different ways, right? I love to break down the script and like you say, in post-it note or block forms. So you could kind of like, these scenes are now blocks, right? And we could organize them differently. And it's just to be able to see, what if I do move this block here? Nothing's lost. I'm just taking this scene and moving it here. But the images that preceded and the image, they all have an effect on each other, right? So I think it's really interesting that you did that exercise, the mind map exercise, because it's another way to see your script in a different perspective, right? And that's the most important. That's what also we did in our 5 weeks out meeting, is basically there's your script, we're reading it, but we're showing it to you now in a different perspective. And it's so insightful, right? The more that you could see your script in different ways, from different angles, you're only going to see the unity of it all, right? You'll see, oh, this fits in line, this one's not in line with my theme, and you start to hone it in. So I'm glad that you also did that with the dialogue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing I want to mention is as you write dialogue or as you write a plot, remember you're not committing to it yet. Like, don't be scared. I think my mistake was as I was writing dialogue, I was writing it in a vertical form, as you see it on a page. But my thoughts don't really work like that. They're not linear. I have a central idea, and then I kind of spread out from it into all these different directions. And that's why it's so chaotic and messy. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to put where, because all these ideas come at once to me. And I know that in the end of the day, it all comes to one center, right? Or the other way around. Like, it comes from the same premise, the same idea. But how do you, the page doesn't work like that. The script doesn't work like that. You have to put it in vertical. So maybe first think how your mind works. Like, I'm very visual. So for me, it is literally like a net of ideas. Put it in this format, put it in this, like mind mapping, sticky notes, whatever works, and draw, arrows and everything. You're like an investigator of your own mind. And then it will fall into place, and then it will fall into linear structure. But don't start with linear structure. I feel like for most people, it just won't work unless you just came to, exactly how and what you want it to be. But for very complicated scenes, I feel like it's probably very rare.
So where would you say from last week to this week, how much has your script changed to you that you've been now honing it in and spending enormous amount of time, and it's been your basically your focus the entire week? Where are you at in terms of shaping the script?
I think I'm trying, because I was given so much advice, important not to get lost in it. So that's what I'm trying to kind of come back to the initial idea, to myself, just sit, meditate, literally, just sit in silence. Don't think about anything that was ever said. Imagine you erase all that, and come back to the previous version. Do you still like it? Or now, knowing what could be different, are you like, oh, okay, I see, yeah, it's not the best, It's very important also to kind of remove those ideas, remove that advice, but you still know it, right? It's already in your mind. So looking through the old script, you'll be like, yeah, I definitely need to implement this here, or, oh yeah, this is the weak point for sure.
That's
where I am right now, filtering sort of advice out, and also a lot of things are falling to place. Those are more details, I think, symbols. So we talked a lot about how to tell the story visually, and maybe again you are mapping out your argument, and there's so many arguments you haven't used. How can you show them visually? Maybe you can show anger instead of saying I'm angry at you. That's very rough example. Maybe you can show it through body language, or using one of the symbols or objects that are very important to the story. So that's where I'm right now. I think visualizing it even more. And that's I think a very good place to be at, given that next week we'll start working with cinematographer, and props, and it's all going to become more and more visual.
That's right. Yeah, by next week it's certainly becoming more visual. Already this week we're now associating location, so you could start to even wrap your head around it when you're writing the script. But yeah, absolutely. By next week we're now starting to associate props and all of the things that your visual styles is going to come through the script, and it's going to be really exciting. And just a note on the criticism that you received on the script is, take it with a grain of salt as well. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because in the end it has to come from you, right? You'll get a bunch of different notes, and just take the one that resonates, and everything else is irrelevant, right? It has to come from you, and that's what we want the most. And take what you want from it, or don't take anything at all. But now you can never unhear these thoughts, right? It's up to you to ignore them, but you can never unhear these comments. And if you don't address these comments, maybe you did or you don't, but they will end up coming back, right? In one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. They will either prove that you were right and you shouldn't change that, or they will be like, no, this needs work.
Yeah, we just don't know which one.
Well, you'll know. I feel like you'll know, especially if you, as we talked about it last time, right? During the interview, you said that most people who came to pitch, they had these ideas in their heads for months, for years even. So if you live with this idea for so long, I mean, again, it can be hard to detach, and sometimes you need to, but also in the end of the day, you know where the truth is coming from, and you know where to return, and what to add, which place of you, which part of you, part of your heart to ask, like, is this right? Will this help the story? Will this help to say what we want to say?
Wow, well said, well said. Now, so we're going into week 4 next week, and it's starting to get closer to our shoot date, which is on March 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Is there anything that you would like to say before we go into next week?
Oh, well, I just want to say thank you to everybody who is listening and watching this. This is so much fun, and even these little check-ins just with me and you, Matt, it's like for me to recap, the past week and see the progress. And sometimes it feels like you do things every day and you're like, well, nothing is changing. Well, where's the time going? Especially when you work on a script and something like you write. It doesn't feel like things are actually happening, but then you recap and you're like, whoa, there's so much work has been put into this. Yeah, so thank you again for this opportunity to be on this journey. I'm super excited, and yeah, with every week getting a little bit more anxious.
Yeah, and I think this is, like you said, this is important to do these updates because you're doing the directors and writers work right now, and it's so internal, it's so with you, yet it's the most important work is happening right now, right? Making sure that when we go filming, all of your ideas are so distilled and purified that they come across so clearly, right? And you can only do that by doing the homework you're doing right now, by spending an enormous amount of time and being precious about every single word, because those words are now going to become some sort of 3-dimensional thing that we will have to take action and bring here. And so, I just really want people to show that, the work that you put in the background is really the payoff for what everybody's going to see, and this is the most important work right now.
Yes, for sure. I think writing is only like a small percentage of writing is actually putting words on paper or on screen. Most of it is in your head. Just like writing is basically living in your head as long as you can and then describing what you saw. So that's what it is.
Yeah, thank you for that, Magnette, and definitely want to thank everyone for watching, and the support is amazing. Please like and subscribe our videos. It's really important that we get to grow and bring on more people that want to know about this ride. I know there's a lot of people that want to be creative, and a lot of times we are our own obstacles to the barrier of making this film, but everybody could be like Magnette or like anyone here at ScriptFest that said, you know what, I'm going to shoot my shot, I'm going to pitch my idea, and not only that, I'm going to be confident and work hard at my idea. And discipline is really what will make this film amazing. And Magnette, thank you for being so disciplined and working on your script, in countless hours, and it's 100% going to be fruitful, and it's going to be worth it. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody. Magnette, you want to say bye?
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.